relatable is Hawkeye? What's going on, guys? This is Michael here. Dweeb Culture, as always, joining me are my fellow hosts, Mitch.
Hey, guys.
And Cole.
What's up, guys?
All right, so as you can see, we have a new logo. We have a new intro. We have a new web series because all of you decided you didn't want to watch what we were putting out before. So now we're just going to to put out questions, and we're going to talk about the questions because that is the most fun part of our job anyway.
We had to try 5 followers.
Yeah, so we're trying out some different things. So how relatable is Hawkeye? So we have the new Hawkeye series coming out, and if you haven't watched it before, we are currently on episode 4, and it is really awesome. Wait, what are you shaking your head at, Mitch?
It's not coming out. It is out.
Oh, it is out. Okay, it is out. So we are rolling through these episodes, and honestly, it kind of grabbed me that I am feeling so much more for Hawkeye than one, I ever have before, and two, more probably for him than anybody else in the MCU. So I think Hawkeye is the most relatable character that there is in the MCU. The reason, so with this series coming out, you're seeing Hawkeye as just a regular guy. You're seeing him, he only exists within the MCU. Outside of Hawkeye the show, he only exists within the MCU. I mean, obviously he has his own comic book series and all that stuff, but he doesn't have his own standalone movie. He doesn't have his own adventure. He's kind of a sub character sometimes of Black Widow, but not really. He makes cameos in some other shows, but he doesn't really exist outside of the Avengers movies. So that kind of got me thinking when this show first came out, how are they going to make Hawkeye really cool? Because, okay, let's be honest, he's the lamest one of probably all the Avengers, because he doesn't have any powers. And that's including Black Widow, who also doesn't have any powers, but she's badass in her own right. And then we have Hawkeye, who shoots arrows, which is cool. But, you know, we have a god that can summon thunder. We have Iron Man, who's super tech. You know, we got all these other really cool people. So I'm like, not really looking forward to this Hawkeye show too much. And then I started watching it. And then I realized now he's probably one of, if not my favorite Avenger. Let's hear your guys' take on it so far.
Bold statement, Michael, saying he's your favorite Avenger.
I think so, man. He's right up there with Captain America, because Captain America is my tops, but like having something with Hawkeye where he's just so down to earth, so relatable, like he's PTSD in the way that Tony Stark tried to be PTSD in Iron Man 2 and in 3, and it didn't really work for him, but it works for Hawkeye. And yeah, so I want to hear you guys
to say that the depiction of his character suffering from PTSD is done better in this show than it was in Iron Man 3.
Sure, yes, that's exactly.
And you're referring to the PTSD of the attack on New York from Loki.
Yes.
Yeah. Because like Iron Man, he has his own origin story where he, changes his ways after, getting blown up by his own tech and all that. But yeah, like you said, like I understand where you're coming from, Michael, in that, Hawkeye has never really been highlighted as much as our other heroes. And I always thought he was super badass, just like never missing and having trick shots, and doing them flawlessly and just surviving without any super healing abilities or armor, right? Yeah, and like Age of Ultron, we see that he's got a secret family. For those who know the comics, kind of already saw that coming or knew that he had something. But yeah, he's definitely, like you said, one of the most relatable characters in that he's kind of just like a soldier. He's a spy that works for S.H.I.E.L.D. or the government, And I think it's super interesting how they're playing this out and showing his mortality through the episodes too. That's a big thing.
You get a lot of grit. You get a lot of grit from Hawkeye. You have him with hearing problems over the course of the series, as any normal person would, with all the explosions and all the falls and all the breaking down. In this episode, you see him take slushies and tape slushies around his arm to kind of ice down his wounds, which actually is a really good idea. I haven't really thought about doing something like that before, because ice packs are really firm and tough, but a slushie, you could just really get around any kind of joint or anything you want. So I might be keeping slushies in my freezer from now on.
And when they show that, like they insinuate or they give us the taste of, okay, this is what he does after each big battle or
Yeah.
after just a day out on the job.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
sits back and ices his wounds. It's
Yeah.
like, this is
And
what
his
you need to do
wife
if you're going to
even
be
mentioned that too.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, if you guys are following the series with us and watching this, the wife is such an all-star. The wife is such a stud. She's so down for everything that he's doing. Like, she has to take care of the kids, and but she's up for the task. Like, so she's if Hawkeye didn't have somebody as supportive as his wife is, she even spoke German in this episode. Like, so what is, I'm starting to get some hints about Hawkeye's wife that maybe she used to be in the business as well. Maybe they're gonna follow that plot point.
I don't think so. She's just a very supportive wife who knows the life, and they're soulmates.
Well, then why does she speak German so flawlessly and in like all spy-like fashion?
Because she's married to a super secret spy who's
I guess so.
We're just bilingual.
All right. Mitch, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, personally, I've always related with Thor the most for the obvious reasons. No, I think you're right. I mean, this is something that we've kind of been thinking about as we've seen more of this show. Hawkeye is probably the most under-fleshed out character of the original Avengers because he's just not been given his own movie. And you had mentioned this already, that we've found out kind of hints about him and his life outside of the Avengers through Avengers movies only, or other character movies. I mean, you get a little bit of him in the first Thor, but he hasn't had as large of a role as even characters like Black Widow have. And Black Widow, most recently came out with her own film, but even she has developed a lot more in Captain America films through her relationship with Steve Rogers, Iron Man films, the relationship with Tony Stark, and Hawkeye has been kind of the one character that's been pushed out to the side. And they've even referenced it in this show that he's kind of the Avenger that's not really an Avenger, probably the least favorite Avenger. Yeah. Kate Bishop's joked about how it's his branding.
Yeah.
And through this show, we realize, the tidbits that they've given us about Hawkeye and who he is over the course of 24 movies of the MCU, over the course of the shared movie universes, have been enough to flesh him out. And really, in this show, I was discovering that I actually cared about him, because I could say before the Hawkeye show came out, had you asked me, hey man, what do you think they're going to do with Hawkeye?
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you care about Hawkeye?
Yeah.
It'd be like a 2.
My answer was very minimal. And then seeing him in his human element now, post blip, with his family returned back to him, I think the drama that this show portrays, with him having to deal kind of with the fallout of his actions when he didn't have his wife, when he didn't have his kids, when everything was taken from him.
Not to mention, anytime he talks about Black Widow, like I literally get a little bit of teary just kind of remembering it and all that stuff, because like so much stuff happens in that movie that it just there's alien spaceships and black explosions and everything, and then that happens and you're like, okay, yeah, that sucks, okay, moving on. There's so many other things happening, but then you see the aftermath of him dealing with it and going through it and talking about it a little bit. You're just like, holy crap, like yeah, that would be awful.
Yeah, that being said, they do in Endgame, or the first of the 2-parter movies,
Infinity War.
Yeah, Infinity War. They do give Hawkeye a fair amount of the Ronin character, and his, like, the movie starts with his family disappearing, and how they later show him as Ronin as just going on a crazy angry rampage of
but even with him, I think that to answer this question, how relatable is Hawkeye, I think he is the most relatable. I think he's the most relatable because we discover and see through this show especially, which adds kind of like a tint to the lenses by which we watch the previous movies, that he's the most human of the Avengers. Even Black Widow, who doesn't have powers either, she's essentially a super soldier. Like, she wasn't given a serum, but she was raised since a little kid in a secret assassin guild.
And we don't know much about Jeremy Renner's backstory.
No, he's just a shield agent. That's what it is. He's a shield agent with a particular talent, which is accuracy, bullseye style, not just arrows. He can flip a coin and turn on the TV type thing. And he was used prior to being brought into Avenger. He was utilized as a, Jason Bourne style assassin, which is funny because obviously this actor was in a Jason Bourne film.
Yeah,
but,
he was. Dude, speaking of which, the job that Jeremy Renner does is absolutely amazing. He's such a good
I think
actor.
that's a big part of it too. Like the fact that we're, so engaged is in big part to his acting. Like, I love that.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
But like he, just going off of what you just said, Mitch, he does talk to like his perception of how he was used by SHIELD or the government in the latest episode.
Yeah, he does.
It's like, I was good at killing people, and they just aimed me in a certain direction.
Yeah, he basically just said he was a weapon, and luckily the right guys pointed him at the right targets, but he was a weapon. In any case, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Let us know down below. Type down below. Do you like Hawkeye better now after this after the show is coming out? I didn't really give him too much thought. I don't think anybody gave him too much thought, but after the show, it seems like he's going to be on top of conversation now, moving forward in the MCU. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Give us topics for our next episodes. We're coming out with this brand new series, and we're gonna just steamroll and keep going with it. So we're gonna be pumping out a lot more videos. Anyway, thank you so much, and have a great rest of you guys this evening. See ya.
Later, guys.
Later.